When did I start DJing? Ooh, that's a hard question. I want to say when I was 15, I started DJing, but I don't necessarily look at it as DJing. I was more or less collecting records and, doing the pause mixing on tape decks, and I can only play one record at a time. Like I didn't have two, so I would just collect records and listen to them, and build my library up until I was able to buy turntables. But you got to think about it. I was 15, so I wasn't able to buy no $400, $500 turntables. They cost way more today, but back then they were like, I think $500, and you have to have $1,000 just to get two turntables. That's without the mixer. So yeah, so I was just pause mixing on tape decks, and it wasn't until I got older and I got a job and I started making money that I actually bought a set of turntables. Some of my early DJ influences are Twilight Tone and Kid Capri, DJ Premier. Let me see, back in the day, Ferris Thomas, he was dope. Like before I started really getting out there, I used to watch Ferris. He used to get down, and that's basically it, because being a DJ, I have to be like my greatest fan. So back in the day, it's kind of hard to think, but yeah, like Twilight Tone, especially because Twilight Tone, me being from New York, and Twilight Tone was on the New York vibe. So we kind of clicked together, because I was from New York and he was, like the New York hip hop stuff. So, and him and Common was working together and stuff like that. So yeah, he was one of my friends, but he was definitely an inspiration, you know what I mean? My family is Muslim, and my name is Mustafa, and I guess in the school I went to Park Manor on 71st Street. I went to Bryn Mawr first, and then we went to Park Manor. And like the kids used to be like, "What's your name again?" Like they never heard an Arabic name before, so it's kind of weird. And then coming from New York, we talk like this, and we talk, you know what I mean? Like we had a different kind of accent back then. So people be like, "Y'all sound funny," you know what I mean? So it was kind of weird, but I looked at it as I'm different from y'all, you know what I mean? I'm not. Actually, I looked at Chicago as like, y'all country. So I was like, y'all some country bumpkin, like you guys are like from Mississippi, but y'all live in a big city. And come to find out, a lot of people's grandparents came from Mississippi and down south and, in Chicago. And we was, big city people. We was from New York City. So yeah, we were kind of different. My whole family, I have 3 sisters and 3 brothers, there's 7 of us. So the Abdullah clan, you couldn't mess with them. Like that New York,
Right.
a lot in high school, a lot of people used to call me New York just because of my accent or whatever, certain things that I say. They'd be like, "Yo, don't mess with New York." I was never into the gangs or anything like that. I didn't understand it, so I just wasn't with it. Plus, I'm into art and music, so that was my thing. I just knew that it was different in New York than it was in Chicago. Chicago was playing a lot of disco, house, R&B, and New York was playing a lot of disco, house, R&B, but they also had the development of hip hop starting. So it's kind of weird because I got to see it developing before it got everywhere else. And then kids used to, this is a crazy story, but you know how when you was in grade school and you had to line up to like go to lunch? And so we'll be in line, and then I'll start pop locking, and one teacher was like, "I think something's wrong with him." They thought I was crazy or something. They knew nothing about breakdancing or nothing. So they just see me, in line doing stuff, and they like, "Something wrong with this guy." But it is what it is. It was just 2 separate scenes to me, the house scene and the hip hop scene. So that's why I'm versed in both, genres of music. Because my brothers, they had all the Frankie Knuckles tapes in the world. And I used to hang out with them all the time, and they would be playing this music constantly. But then when I go home, I'm playing Kid and Play and Rakim, and you know what I mean? So that's how I learned both sides of music. And my father, he loves jazz. He could tell you the year, the studio they made it at, and he loves jazz. So I listen to jazz with him, and then I learned jazz. And my mom loves Latin music. She loves Tito Puente and Celia Cruz. So I learned Spanish music from her. So that's how I be learning all these different genres of music.
So